Good afternoon. As the Dean of the College of Engineering, it's my pleasure to welcome you, guests here in Carver Hawkeye, as well as those watching our live feed online, as we recognize the College of Engineering's Spring 2018 Baccalaureate class. Yeah. We're here today to celebrate the achievements and experiences of our graduates, and to set the stage, we have a short video provided by the President's Office entitled Celebrate Iowa. And some of you may recognize some who appear in the video, so please focus your attention on the Jumbotron.
I chose to come to Iowa because when I came on my visit day, I got an insane amount of community from everyone I talked to.
Iowa just welcomed me completely, open arms.
That really kind of cemented in my mind, okay, this is the place where I need to be.
When I came and saw the campus, I automatically fell in love with it.
It's all Iowa, it's all the Hawkeye community, and just a great place to be around.
I don't think I chose Iowa, I think Iowa chose me.
As soon as I came onto campus, I tried to become as involved as possible.
But I was very surprised at how much I could continue to learn and grow through every experience.
There's just so much here that walking around campus, you just have all those really cool memories.
I remember the first time I saw snow was here at the University of Iowa. It was cold, but I loved it.
Me and the people on my floor would go eat dinner every day. And that's the memory I remember the most because that's where I met some of my best friends.
I'm gonna miss being surrounded by a bunch of like-minded people. I think everyone here that's near me is very driven and very focused and has really found the passion for what they want to do in their life here.
As a student, you have so much access to so much knowledge, and you can really expand your horizons so quickly and easily.
This university has literally made my dreams come true. I remember when I was a little kid, I had always wanted to go to Paris. I was able to apply for a study abroad program. I got to go see the Eiffel Tower.
Everybody's a Hawkeye fan on game day, and everybody has the same goal in mind on those Saturdays.
Rushing the field with the players and the fans, it really just kind of brings together what being a Hawkeye is all about.
Go Hawks! Hey, go Hawks!
So you can walk down the street and say hi to someone who's also wearing Hawkeye gear, and I'll have that for the rest of my life.
I feel like I'm prepared enough to begin my professional journey towards something that I can make an impact in.
It was not easy, I won't lie, but in hindsight, it's one of the best things I've ever done with my life.
One can take a Hawkeye out of Iowa, but one can never take Iowa out of a Hawkeye.
This experience has been one of the best of my life. I wouldn't take it back for the world. I don't want to leave, don't make me leave. Really, I'd like to thank my family for supporting me. God.
I would like to thank my parents.
Thanks for always believing in me, even though I didn't always believe in myself.
And they've given me so many opportunities to just be myself, to go out into the great, beyond, and do things that I never thought I could do.
So I've realized everything that they've had to give up for me to be where I am, and I appreciate everything that they've done for me.
Thank you to my family, thank you to the faculty, and everybody that has supported me along the way.
All right, so now I'll introduce the platform officials. When I call your name, please stand. Sue Curry, Executive Vice President and Provost. Keynote speaker Alexander Cartwright, Chancellor of the University of Missouri. Lizzie Zimmerman, our student speaker from Chemical Engineering. David Murhammer, Professor in Chemical and Biochemical Engineering. Colleen Bringman, Lecturer in Biomedical Engineering. Alan Guyman, Professor and Chair from Chemical and Biochemical Engineering. Christopher Stokes, Associate Professor of Instruction from Civil and Environmental Engineering. Erwei Bai, Professor and Chair of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Qinglong Lin, Professor and Chair of Mechanical and Industrial Engineering. Tanya Peoples, Associate Dean of Diversity and Outreach. Nicole Grossland, Associate Dean of Academic Programs, and Larry Weber, Executive Associate Dean. Today we celebrate an important point in the life of our graduates and the beginning of new challenges that will draw upon the knowledge and experiences they have gained as students here at the University of Iowa. Our graduates are well prepared to meet the professional challenges and opportunities they will encounter as engineers, and we take pride in their accomplishments. As a small token of our appreciation for their hard work and dedication, we have given each graduate a medal symbolic of their accomplishments. They're wearing those medallions today. Let me name a few of the specific accomplishments and achievements of this graduating class. 189 graduates completed the requirement for minors. 94 received credit for co-op or internship experiences. 47 will receive university honors. 45 will graduate with distinction. 20 have completed the requirements for honors in the major. 17 were presidents of engineering student organizations. 16 will earn a certificate. 8 were engineering grand challenges scholars. And 8 students will graduate with a double major. 7 were academic peer advisors. 4 were engineering lead tutors. 8 served the college as student ambassadors. And 3 served as professional development peer advisors. Finally, many of these graduates have been actively involved in student organizations, while others have been involved in academic research. Some of these graduates have enriched our community through their volunteer efforts. Many have studied abroad, while others have worked to fund their education. Some are the first in their family to receive a college degree. We also take great pride in our students who have served in the armed forces, and I invite the veterans in our graduating class to stand, as well as the veterans in our audience to stand to receive our appreciation. Veterans, please stand. The accomplishments and academic achievements of the graduates build from the devotion of talented faculty. This semester, the graduating seniors from each program selected a faculty member to be recognized today for their excellence in teaching and dedication to student learning. Faculty, as I call your name, please come to the center stage to be recognized. Colleen Bringman, lecturer in biomedical engineering. I think we want to stand over here. Charles Stanier, professor of chemical and biochemical engineering, was unable to be here today. We can recognize Charlie in his absence. Christopher Stokes, associate professor of instruction in civil and environmental engineering. Anton Kruger, professor in electrical and computer engineering. Ruben Beltran del Rio, lecturer in industrial engineering. And Justin Garvin, associate professor of instruction in mechanical engineering. All right, let's recognize these outstanding faculty one more time. All right, thank you. Lizzie Zimmerman is a chemical engineering major from Marinette, Wisconsin. During her time at the University of Iowa, she participated in the Campus Activities Board, in the Society of Women Engineers, Women in Science and Engineering, and held leadership roles in the American Institute of Chemical Engineers and Omega Chi Epsilon chapters here at Iowa. She's also actively involved as a student worker, teaching 3 different engineering courses as an undergraduate teaching assistant, and completing undergraduate research in pediatric oncology in Dr. Mile Pufal's laboratory. During her summers, Lizzie interned at Chem Design, a specialty chemicals company in Wisconsin, and conducted research here at Iowa. This past month, she was awarded the Omega Chi Epsilon Service Award for her service to the Department of Chemical and Biochemical Engineering. After graduation, Lizzie will follow her passion for safety consulting, working with FM Global in Wisconsin. I'm delighted to introduce Lizzie as our student speaker today.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Dean Scranton, for the warm welcome. I have to be honest, writing a good, relatable, and also short speech is easier said than done, especially when you have such a large crowd. When I first thought about what I wanted to talk about today, I immediately reached for my phone to ask my parents for advice, like I have so many times before, and I instantly knew how I needed to begin. Today, I wanted to begin by saying thank you. I wanted to thank all of the supportive figures in our life. Oftentimes, engineers are people of few words, and we often forget to tell those people in our lives who are important just how thankful we are to have them. Thank you to all the parental figures in our lives, family members, and people who answered life's most pressing questions for us as young adults, such as how to determine if food was cooked thoroughly, how to manage money, and what was too red to be put in the washing machine with grays. We know that listening to us drone on and on about quantum dots, coding languages you've never heard of, reaction engineering, and differential equations was sometimes not the most exciting part of your day, but having your support meant everything to us, and we couldn't have been here without you today. I would also like to extend a large thank you to the amazing faculty and staff of the College of Engineering. Thank you to the professors who went out of their way to explain 4 times in 4 different ways how to use mesh analysis in circuits, what exactly a heat engine is in thermodynamics, and how a moment is calculated in statics. Your encouragement helped to give us a strong base upon which we've been able to build our engineering knowledge. Thank you to the Writing Center, who walked us through how to become the amazing lab report writers we are today. Thank you to the Tutoring Center for the support through the surprisingly hard beginning classes. Thank you to the Student Development Center and the amazing office staff we have. Your guidance meant more to us than we could sometimes say, and we appreciate it. I want to tell you about a recent conference I attended where the speaker said 2 things that really stuck with me. First, he said, if you're going to make a speech, for goodness sakes, make it short. And second, he said, wherever you think you're going to be in 10 years is the only place I can say with absolute certainty that you will not be. First, I was kind of defensive. I thought to myself, why can't I be there? Everyone's always telling us we can do whatever we put our minds to. And I was irritated with this comment. But thinking back to 10 years ago from this point in my life, I realized just how right he was, and that not getting where you think you need to be isn't an indication of a failure or an inability to plan or reach goals or really any indication of self-worth. It's just an indication that you're going to grow and change as a person, and that's okay. I would invite everyone here to think back to their high school graduation for just a moment, regardless of how long ago it was. Did you think you would end up here? Did you recognize your current best friends and know they would be your rock through every finals week and whine with you over tough exams? Did you know your significant other, fiance, husband, or wife was the one when you first met them? Did you realize when you got to Iowa that you would graduate with this degree in this year? When I first chose Iowa, it was for 3 reasons. First, for the small class sizes and the approachability of the professors. For me, it felt like a small town in a big city. Second, for the beautiful campus, and third, for UIHC and the chance to do medical research. Following high school, I thought for sure I would be an oncologist or a neurologist. And during my freshman and sophomore years of high school, I was checking the required boxes, taking additional courses, and studying for the MCAT. I had an epiphany late one night when I was studying, though. I I realized I hadn't even started studying for my biology exam, which was in just 2 days. And in that moment, I realized I had prioritized studying for my engineering coursework over my biology course, a course that aligned closely with my medical aspirations. Initially, I was frustrated. I was unable to shake the feeling that I was letting myself down because medicine was my dream. I realized, however, that this goal no longer aligned with my strengths or my newfound passion for engineering. Why else do we work into countless hours of the night learning process controls, hydrology, or computational biochemistry? It's because we have a passion for engineering. We secretly love nerding out over the math and the science, and we can't wait to get our hands on an unsolved problem. For some of us, it was the second Principles of Chemistry exam when we realized chemistry was actually rocket science, and we no longer had a passion for chemical engineering. Or after an extreme struggle with coding in EPS 2, we knew that electrical was not for us. Conversely, you may have excelled in those classes and realized your passions early on. Either way, I'm sure there are very few people in this room who set out their junior year of high school guessing they would graduate from Iowa and graduate with the engineering degree they're receiving today, and that's okay. I want to instill in all of you that changing your plans and recognizing that your career route can be and will be, whether you like it or not, fluid is a good thing. If you would have asked me if I wanted to work for an insurance company out of high school, I would have laughed at you. But now I realize there isn't a job out there that's a better fit for me. As you grow and change, your goals should too. And when opportunities come knocking or your ideas of success morph, don't be afraid to change your route. Don't feel like a failure if you don't get where you think you're going to be because it's your own standards that you'll be comparing yourself to. Use your feelings of frustration to kick your goals into gear or move on to your next great adventure. As you enter the adult world, remember that you are equipped with a top-notch degree, an in-depth knowledge of your subject area, a great support system from your Hawkeye family, and an unparalleled appetite for learning. And while your path may change multiple times and you may never get where you think you're going to go, where you actually end up will be better than you imagined. Thank you and congratulations to the class of 2018.
Wow, those were excellent thoughts. Next, I will present the Outstanding Senior Award, which is selected by the Engineering Student Council and is presented to graduates who demonstrate exceptional character, an affinity for lifelong learning, and who are actively engaged and well-respected by members of the College of Engineering and the University of Iowa community as a whole. The award is chosen based on nominations received from current faculty members and students alike. This year, the Outstanding Senior Award will be presented to 2 deserving graduates, and they're about to find out who they are. This year's first recipient was referred to in their nomination as a great student due to his desire to inspire others to do well in classes. After his freshman year, he took the initiative to obtain a research position with Dr. George Richardson in the Department of Neurology, and has excelled as a research assistant ever since. He has presented this research at various conferences and is now working on a publication. In addition, he has held the webmaster leadership role for both the Medical Association of Pre-Health Students and the National Society of Black Engineers. He's volunteered at the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics and continuously during his time here at the university. Upon graduation, he will continue his education at the Carver College of Medicine, where he has been accepted into an MD PhD program. Yeah, that's outstanding, but this very impressive. There's more to come. This opportunity will allow him to combine his passion for engineering, research, and medicine, and to fulfill his goal of becoming a neurologist. I'm going to hold off the name until I've read about the second student, and I'll introduce them both. This year's second recipient was referred to in their nomination as an exceptional asset to the Department of Chemical and Biochemical Engineering and to the College of Engineering as a whole. In addition to devoting her time to her chemical engineering coursework, she serves as vice president of the University of Iowa Society of Women Engineers, where she previously served as the fundraising chair and president. She's also involved in the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, Omega Chi Epsilon, and serves as a peer advisor for the College of Engineering. In the past year, she selflessly volunteered to help the Department of Chemical and Biochemical Engineering by serving on the newly formed CBE website committee and assisted with the most recent faculty hiring process. This recipient has taken on all of these leadership roles with a great amount of motivation, energy, and efficiency, and always with a smile upon her face. Upon graduation, she'll be working as an engineer at Honeywell in Virginia. So I'm pleased to announce the recipients of this year's Outstanding Seniors Awards are Hassan Ahmed. Please come on up here. And Jacqueline Rickey. Jacqueline, please come up here. Congratulations. That's for you. Great. All right. Thank you. You might have noticed a few of our graduates are wearing regalia signifying their membership in honor societies, including white and lavender cords for the Society of Women Engineering. Please stand if you're wearing these. Okay. White stoles or orange and white cords for Tau Beta Pi. There you go. Thank you. Or white and maroon cords for Omega Chi Epsilon. Thank you. Now we'll recognize students who will be earning honors. Please stand if you're earning university honors and/or engineering honors. And while they're standing, I'll describe a little bit about what that means, and then we'll recognize them. So university honors is earned through a combination of honors coursework and other enrichment activities, such as research, study abroad, or internships. Engineering honors students complete research under the guidance of a faculty member, culminating in a submission of an honors thesis. So let's recognize these students. Thank you. You may be seated. We'll now recognize students who have achieved distinction for graduating in at least the top 10% of all students in the College of Engineering as measured by grade point average. So please stand, and the distinction is signified by stars on the graduation gowns. So 3 stars designates highest distinction, the top 2%. Please stand if you're, wow. 2 stars designates high distinction, which is the next 3%. Okay. And 1 star designates distinction, which is the next 5%. All right. We'll next recognize graduates who have completed the requirements for certificates in clinical and translational science, or large data analysis, leadership studies, or naval hydrodynamics, sustainability, or technical entrepreneurship, or finally, wind energy. If you've earned any of these certificates, please stand and let me tell you a little bit about them before we recognize them. Okay, these certificate programs, students who complete them complete a series of in-depth coursework that gives them depth of understanding in a specialized area that complements the engineering curriculum and prepares them for success in the 21st century. So these students did that work. Thank you. Would the Grand Challenges scholars who are graduating please stand? Wow. Okay, please remain standing while I tell the audience a little bit about this program. The Engineering Grand Challenges Scholars Program prepares students to tackle key problems in our society that we'll be facing in the coming century. To cultivate a new generation of engineers ready to confront these complicated problems, we've developed a comprehensive curricular and extracurricular program that was only the 7th in the nation to be certified by the National Academy of Engineering. It's a very intensive program. Few students in the nation complete the requirements to become a Grand Challenges Scholar. I think we have 8 students here today who have risen to this challenge. Let's recognize them once again. Thank you. Now I'm delighted to introduce alumnus and Chancellor Alexander Cartwright, who will deliver the charge to the graduates and will be inducted into our Distinguished Engineering Alumni Academy. Dr. Cartwright received his BS and PhD in electrical engineering from the University of Iowa in 1989 and 1995, respectively. After graduation, he joined the faculty in the Department of Electrical Engineering at SUNY Buffalo and served in numerous administrative roles before becoming named as the Provost and Executive Vice Chancellor for the whole SUNY system in 2014. In 2017, he was named Chancellor of the University of Missouri in Columbia. Dr. Cartwright's research involves engineering optical metamaterials that provide optical properties not readily found in nature. His technology for fabricating rainbow-colored polymers using a one-step, low-cost holographic lithography method was one of 5 inventions worldwide to be awarded by the Society of Manufacturing Engineers Innovations That Could Change the Way We Manufacture award. He's a prolific and highly influential scholar with more than 160 peer-reviewed journal publications and conference proceedings. In 2016, Dr. Cartwright was named a Fellow of the American Association for the Advancement of Science for outstanding research, teaching, mentorship in optics, and for advancing science in New York nationally and internationally, and for strengthening diversity and inclusion in science. He has awards and recognitions too numerous to mention, and it's my pleasure to induct him into our Distinguished Engineering Alumni Academy today. This is part of the induction. So. And now Dr. Cartwright will give the charge to the graduates.
Thank you, Dean Scranton, and thank you so much for this honor. I'm truly humbled to enter into the Distinguished Engineering Alumni Academy. I'd like to begin first by apologizing to the sign language interpreter for not getting my talk to her in advance, because I just wanted to remain consistent with the work that I did at Iowa, that I was always working on my projects until the very end. So that's what happened here. I owe so much to Iowa. One of the most important things that happened is I met my wonderful wife here 30 years ago. And she has degrees from here in music education and in computer science. Yes, she's right over there. So. And I don't have the time to actually talk about all the people who helped me, but there's a long list of faculty. Some of you may recognize the names, others you wouldn't recognize. But Carl Longren, Professor Corporal, John Robinson, Sudhakar Reddy, Norbert Malik, a lot of people who taught me the classes in electrical engineering when I was here. And then my PhD advisor, Arthur Smurl, and my committee members, Tom Boges and David Anderson, who really helped me and mentored me through my PhD. And I'd like to also acknowledge Carrie Hornbuckle, who's from civil engineering, because she was a faculty member with me at the University at Buffalo, And she was one of the first people to help me with understanding what it took to receive a National Science Foundation Career Award, and I really am still thankful to her to this day for that. I was asked to give you a charge to the graduates, and my charge is going to be quite simple, and that is to be optimistic and to take some risk. While Iowa provided me with a lot of knowledge in engineering, math, science, even rhetoric, which helped me a lot, it did, and the use of that knowledge is certainly not optimized unless we think about it and take some chances. And risk tolerance and optimism were skills that were instilled in me by my mother, not only in how she raised me, but by watching how she lived her life, her words and her actions. So instead of talking about my research in optics and photonics and all the differential equations and everything that I'd love to talk about, I really wanted to talk a little bit about my mom. After all, today is Mother's Day, and yesterday was her 81st birthday. So I want to say Happy Mother's Day to everybody that's here, and really certainly send out a Happy Mother's Day to her. And as Lizzie said, I'm sure you all have someone who've helped you to get to graduation today. And I encourage you to think about that person as I talk through my talk to explain why my mom had such an impact. Watching my mom taught me a few things. One was to love and to trust people, respect people. And I certainly adopted her general inquisitiveness, her remarkable observation skills, a willingness to take risks, and certainly that optimism. I can't talk about all of those today, but if you want to ask me about them later, I'd be happy to talk about what I mean by those. But I'll focus on optimism and taking risks. You see, my mom didn't have the easiest life. She had 6 children in her first 7 years of marriage. 4 of them only lived a short period of time. And she lost her brother and her brother-in-law on the same day, actually, when she was pregnant with her 4th child, my older living brother. And my oldest sister was my living sister was the 6th child, and then I was the 7th, born a few years later. And by the age of 35, she found herself a single mom, taking care of 3 kids and trying to support us. And we lived paycheck by paycheck, trying to barely pay our rent. But I learned so much in watching how hard she worked. She tried to make sure we had what we needed to be able to live, and we were happy. We were thankful for everything that we had, and we dreamed about what could be possible and what could happen. She was always optimistic. When I was 17, I had the opportunity to move with her to Iowa, where she married a wonderful man who helped us in many ways. But he didn't have the resources for me to think about going to college. And certainly, I wanted to live that American dream. But our constant optimism helped me to think about that anything was possible. And it informed a rather unconventional journey to becoming a chancellor of a flagship public research institution. You see, I didn't graduate from high school. I took the GED after I arrived here in Iowa at Kirkwood Community College. Around the same time, I got my first job cleaning hog confinement buildings for pigs, so spent a lot of time with them. I later got another job, second shift, as a custodian at HWH Corporation, which is right down the road here in Moscow, Iowa. And that helped me to be able to afford to take classes at Kirkwood Community College. I started out, and certainly it is ironic now that when I started out, I was in accounting, and when I transferred here to Iowa, I was still in accounting. And when I applied to switch to engineering, I was only accepted provisionally twice. The first semester, and then after the first semester, they said, let's see how you do the second semester. I certainly can appreciate how hard all of you have worked to get to this point. And later on, when I was here, my mentors taught me a lot about how engineering, you want to take those chances and think about different things to do, new experiments, try unconventional things. And again, my mom was the person that made me realize that that's all possible. I remember when we moved into a house, and I was younger, and there was actually 5 of us at the time. My uncle was living with us, and we actually only had 2 physical beds. And so the kids actually tracked down a bunch of 2x4s and chicken wire, and we designed our own little platform beds so that we could take those 2 beds and make them into 4. It was a stretch. They certainly wasn't the greatest design, and it was not really stable, but it kept us away from cockroaches that typically run around on the floor. So it was really one of those things that made it so much better for all of us. And it was the type of ingenuity that my mother praised. She wanted us to try things and always encouraged us to take those risks. I realized that that type of parenting had an effect on me in my education and certainly in my career, because she taught me it was okay to try new things, and it's certainly okay to fail. These attributes helped me where I am today, to be a leader. It was subtle and perhaps unintentional on her part, but as I look back, I realized that she prepared me to succeed in everything that I'm doing. She instilled the real grit that is needed to overcome challenging circumstances. The difference between her final career and mine was opportunity. I'm so proud of her for continuing to learn and earning her GED when she turned in her 50s. And I know she would have made an amazing engineer, or a doctor, or a humanist, or whatever she had decided to do if she had just had that opportunity. We must remain committed to giving people across the world a world-class education that is provided by both the University of Iowa and the University of Missouri. It is our responsibility to deliver that to people of the world. I want to thank everybody at the University of Iowa College of Engineering for all that they did for me. Thank you for taking a chance on a transfer student who wanted to switch from business to engineering. Looking back, I have to admit it wasn't quite clear why you agreed to that, why you allowed me to take, which I don't think you knew this, but I took Physics 1 and 2 at the same time so I could graduate a little sooner. Thank you for allowing me to break the rules. And I sincerely appreciate everything that you did for me. I've been blessed to become now the leader of an amazing institution in the University of Missouri. And I've been also blessed to be part of a number of amazing institutions. This university, University of Iowa, University at Buffalo, and now the University of Missouri. I certainly like black and gold, obviously, because I went from Iowa and now I'm back to black and gold. So it's easy. When I'm up here, I want to chant M-I-Z. Any of you who are, someone said it, I think, so someone said it. It's a little chant we have there. But it really reflects on what the U.S. is about. It reflects on what public AAU research institutions are about, and that is about giving opportunities. My wife and I feel at home at Mizzou because we get to impact people's lives every day, the same way that you get to impact people here at Iowa. So graduates, I'm thrilled to see that you've taken advantage of that opportunity you have received. May you never forget the people in your life who guided you here, and may you take them with you in your next adventure. Again, congratulations. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Alex, for those amazing comments. And it does occur to me, since it is Mother's Day, I'll bet graduates you would appreciate an opportunity to recognize your parents, and most especially your mom, on this special day. Why don't you take the opportunity to stand and applaud your parents, and especially your mom. I see some pointing them out, but yeah. Well, next is the moment we've been waiting for. Sue Curry, University of Iowa Executive Vice President and Provost, will confer the Bachelor of Science in Engineering degrees to our graduating students. Will the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Science in Engineering please rise? Provost Curry, these candidates, having completed all of the requirements for the degree Bachelor of Science in Engineering, are recommended to you by the faculty of the College of Engineering for the conferring of this degree.
On recommendation of the faculty of the College of Engineering and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Regents, State of Iowa, I confer on each of you the degree Bachelor of Science in Engineering as qualified and designated.
Graduates, you may now be seated. And next, we're going to individually recognize the recipients of the Engineering Baccalaureate degrees. Provost Curry will join me in offering our congratulations to each graduate. And audience, feel free to applaud when each graduate is recognized. Dr. Tanya Peoples will introduce each degree candidate individually. Dr. Peoples is the College of Engineering's Associate Dean for Diversity and Outreach. She led the team that recruited today's graduates to campus and helps to create a welcoming and supportive environment for all.
Will the candidates for degrees in biomedical engineering please rise and assemble on this side of the podium? Will Colleen Brigman please come forward to represent the biomedical engineering program? Matthew Aguilar. Hassan Abdulaziz Ahmed. Megan Andrew, highest distinction, University Honors. Brett Calvert Austin, highest distinction, University Honors. Mohad Awan. William Bui Tran, University Honors. Kira Jiyu Choi. Madison Chrisman, minor, mathematics, University Honors. Blake Connor. Matt Corbett. Kelsey Duray Doms, minor, business administration, highest distinction. Kai Davis. Tess Eileen Davis. Riley Deutsch, minors, chemistry and Spanish, highest distinction, University Honors, honors in the major. Taime Fenton, minor, mathematics. Jillian Louise Garbers. Gwen Gardner, minor, psychology. Michael Garneau, minor, psychology, highest distinction, University Honors, honors in the major. Austin Gibson. Genevieve Goals, minor, mathematics. Ulysses Grant. Oops. Michael Hawes. Technical Entrepreneurship Certificate, University Honors. Sahid Hussain. Bachelor of Science in Biochemistry, Bachelor of Arts of Chemistry, minors, Computer Science and Mathematics. Samantha Hauser. Megan Helms, highest distinction, University Honors. James Hiller, University Honors, Honors in the Major. Lauren Hillman, Bachelor of Arts in Psychology, University Honors. Tyler Holen. Yangchao Huang, minor, Computer Science. Elizabeth Hubbard, distinction, University Honors. Tyler Jensen, University Honors. Yuchen Zhang. Theodore Johnson. Balashankar Karthikeyan, minor, Mathematics. Monica Kettleson. Stephen Cruz, minor, Psychology, Clinical and Translational Science Certificate. Maria Fernanda Laraga Martinez, minor, Mathematics, highest distinction, University Honors. Yinghui Li, highest distinction. Yahong Li, minor, Mathematics, distinction, University Honors, Honors in the Major. Gregory Malicki, minor, Psychology. Alyssa Mendenhall, minor, Chemistry, highest distinction, University Honors, Honors in the Major. Kenneth Lucas Meyer, minor, Computer Science. Grant Milam. Ford Minahan, minor, Philosophy. Ryan P. Murphy. Elizabeth Niedert, minor, Mathematics, University Honors. Oscar Oliveros. Angela Oliveira, University Honors. Anna Rodriguez, highest distinction, University Honors. Natalie Louise Ross, University Honors. Dulip Saini. Allison Schmidt. Kara Schneider. Christian Snyder, minor, Computer Science, University Honors. Peyton Schrupp. Ariel Serrano, minor, Aerospace Studies. Claire Sevenick. Seth Sevenick, minor, Mathematics. Anna Leah Seidel, Bachelor of Arts in Computer Science, highest distinction, University Honors, Honors in the Major. Velarachana Sathana, University Honors. Jessica Shull, minor, Human Physiology. Nicole Zabo. Ashton Sherman, minor, Psychology, University Honors, Honors in the Major. Gungseng Xu, highest distinction. Andrew Summer, minor, Computer Science. Ethan Stancliffe, Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, highest distinction, University Honors, Honors in the Major. Aaron Sullivan, minor, Psychology, highest distinction, University Honors. Brian Tanner, minor, Mathematics. Jacqueline Timmons, University Honors. Ellie Wallace, minor, Business Administration, distinction. Yisu Wo, minor, Computer Science. Tyler Wessel, minor, Computer Science, distinction, University Honors. Lucas Walski. Adam Wong. Yujun Zhu, minor, Mathematics, highest distinction. Qinyang Zhao, high distinction. Dan Yan, minor mathematics. Department Executive Officer Alan Guyman will represent the Chemical and Biochemical Engineering program. Abdul Abu Hamid. Garrett Alfred. Fahad Alokba, minor in chemistry. Corrine Andreessen, minor chemistry, university honors. Bjorn Bloomquist, minor business administration and chemistry, highest distinction. Philip Bowie. Alex Deuster, minors business administration. Sarah Yasser El-Hattab, minor, Global Health Studies. Chad Ford, minor, Chemistry, Sustainability Program Certificate, University Honors. Madeline Suzanne Hess, minor, Business Administration, highest distinction. Ashley Huff, minor in Chemistry. Jeremy Hutton, minors, Chemistry and University Honors. Megan Jones, minors, Chemistry and Mathematics. James Kleben, minors, Business Administration and Chemistry. Eric Knapp, minor, Chemistry, with distinction, University Honors, honors in the major. Renee Kirpius, minors, Chemistry, University Honors, honors in the major. Wade Mao. Taylor Mattingly. Madison Merhammer, minors, Business Administration and Chemistry, highest distinction, University Honors. Bradley Olson. Emily Rose Paty. Taylor Renshaw, minors, Business Administration and Chemistry. Jacqueline Rickey, minors, Business Administration and Chemistry, distinction. Sebastian Rio Saavedra, minor in Chemistry, Technological Entrepreneurship Certificate. Rachel Seibel, minor in Chemistry. Michael Seipt, minor in Chemistry. Tyler Simon, minor in Computer Science. Kevin Tobin, minor in Chemistry, University Honors, honors in the major. Andrew Volkening. Matt Wagner. Sean Wagner, minor in Chemistry, Technological Entrepreneurship Certificate. Colin Weber, minor, Chemistry and Mathematics. Zilin Shu, minor, Chemistry. Elizabeth Zimmerman, Bachelor of Arts, Biochemistry, minor, Chemistry, University Honors. Christopher Stokes is representing the Civil and Environmental Engineering programs. We will begin with the civil graduates. McCabe Barrett. Kyle Callender. Hao Chen. Samora Clay Jr. Jacob Cook. Myra Corona. Christina DeVito. Adam James Fritz. Kara Gibson, minor, Business Administration. Samuel Gulietta. Ryan Hall. Anthony Himan. Jordan Hostetels. Trenton Humphrey. Fington Ho. Bachelor of Science in Economics. Andrew R. Iko. Tyler Gendra. Noah Coulter. Morgan Kinney, minor, Psychology. Jake Knudsen. Allison Crick. Eleanor Swazik Culp. Jacob Lehman. Jingguan Li, minor, Art. Hanji Liang. Jasmine Lopez, Sustainability Program Certificate. Hunter Miller. Michael Moore. Joe Muslimian. Jacob Page. Benjamin Palazzolo. Keegan Parizek, minor, Business Administration. Brian Pohaska, minor, Business Administration. Jason Rafati. Paige Sauls, minor, Art. Dylan Schiltz, minor, Psychology. Tanner Schrupp. Austin Sitzman. Mari Van Dyke. Jeffrey Warburton. Duncan Winoski, minor, Art. Kelly Wallner. And now we have one graduate in the new Environmental Engineering program to recognize. Esteban Londono. Department Executive Officer Erway Bai will represent the Computer Science and Engineering and Electrical Engineering programs. We will begin with the Computer Science and Engineering graduates. Aaron Ambrose. Kyle Anderson, Bachelor of Science in Mathematics, University Honors. Harrison Freund, Minors, Mathematics and Spanish, Sustainability Program Certificate, Distinction, University Honors and Honors in the Major. Jiyu Han. Vincent Lopez, minor, Mathematics. John Mock, Bachelor of Science, Computer Science and Engineering, minor, Chemistry. Lucas Murray. Jason Ryan, minors, Computer Science and Mathematics. Ri Hao Ji, minor, Mathematics. And now the Electrical Engineering graduates. Alexandria Ballard, minor, Mathematics. Kyle Christensen, minors, Computer Science and Mathematics. Justin Cross, minors, Business Administration, Computer Science and Mathematics. Ahmed El Malher, minors, computer science and mathematics. Ali Fawaz. Mitch Fitzpatrick, minors, computer science and mathematics. Colleen Gannon, minors, computer science and mathematics. Shay Hawkins, minor, mathematics, sustainability program certificate, wind energy certificate. Nathan Hess, minor, mathematics. R.J. Hemmingson, minors, computer science, business administration, and mathematics. Robin Hauk, minor, computer science. Anthony Shaw Kirsch, minor, mathematics. Luke Kotteman. Yangyu Ma. Anthony Myers, minor, computer science. Sophia Malero, distinction, honors in the major. Emily McCormick, minor, mathematics. Emily Lynn McGee, minor, computer science. Mir Mook, minor, computer science and mathematics and psychology. Eric Nagel, minor, mathematics. Logan Nichols, Bachelor of Science in Physics. Charles Reisinger. Samantha Seaman, minor, computer science. Gregory Slonka, sustainability program. Jonathan Smith. Nathan Smith, minors, business administration and computer science. Reed Stock, minor, computer science. Colin Stolfus, minors, business administration and computer science. King Yong Su, Sing Yong Su, minors, computer science and mathematics, large data analysis certificate, highest distinction, university honors in the major. Danning Sun, minors, business administration, computer science and mathematics. Matthew Tamana, minors, mathematics and distinction. Blake Wagee. Jinhan Wong, minors, computer science and mathematics. Harrison White. Ray Vu. Sing Sing, minor, mathematics. Hao Young. Departmental Executive Officer Qinglong Lin will represent the mechanical and industrial engineering programs. We will begin with the industrial engineering graduates. Jacob Anderson, minors, computer science and mathematics. Matthew Antos, minor, business administration. Daniel Balin. Matthew Benson, minor, business administration. Molly Blasberg. Jessica Blumberg, minor, business administration. Kevin Bricker. Daniel Calderon, minors, business administration and mathematics. Rachel Canby, minor, mathematics, distinction, and university honors. Annual David Cardenas, minor, business administration. Nicholas Chapman, minor, business administration. Zikun Shen, minor, computer science and mathematics. Nicole Corcoran. Jesse Dankel, technological entrepreneurship certificate. Stephen Evans. Mike Fitzgerald, minor, business administration. Zachary Ryan Flynn, minor, Business Administration. Mandy Gavin. Ethan Daniel Glenn, minors, Business Administration and Spanish. Jeffrey Hancock, minor, Business Administration. John Hardick III, minor, Business Administration. Josh Jacobs, minor, Business Administration, highest distinction. Joseph Julian. Joseph Keegan. Aubrey Larson, honors in the major. Lucas Laufenberg, minor, Business Administration. Brenton Leong, minor, Business Administration. Aiden McConnell, minor, Business Administration. Emma Minnick. Chad Mirabelli, minor, Psychology. Ashley Morris, minor, Business Administration, University Honors, honors in the major. Paige Parker, minor, Business Administration. Benjamin Perlson. Danielle Peterson. Matt Paulson. Wade Rollins. Jianqing Rong. Thomas Rose, minor, Psychology. Alejandro Saldana. Landon Schreck, minor, Business Administration. Nicholas Schwartz, minors, Business Administration and Mathematics. Seema Sutar, minor, Business Administration. Jack Urabi, minor, Business Administration, distinction, University Honors, honors in the major. Michaela Walu. Catherine Woodruff, Bachelor of Arts in Psychology. Amanda Wutan, Technological Entrepreneurship Certificate. Kaylee Zimlick. And finally, the mechanical engineering graduates. John Aldana. Adam Azriel, minor, Mathematics. Jacob Barrett, minor, Mathematics, and highest distinction. Seth Boyson, highest distinction. Carly Brooker, minor, Mathematics, distinction, University Honors. Brooks Budelis, minor, Business Administration and Mathematics, Leadership Studies Certificate. Austin Brem, minor, Mathematics. Peter Burlback, minor, Mathematics. Nicholas Caminiti, minor, Mathematics. Nolan Carroll, minor, Mathematics. Shelby Clare, Bachelor of Arts in German, highest distinction. David Cullen. Brady Dawley, minor, Mathematics. Timothy Dawson, distinction. Alexander DeForest, minor, Mathematics. Spencer Michael Delgado, minors, Business Administration and Mathematics. James Edge, minor, Mathematics. Andrew Eusebio, minors, Business Administration and Mathematics. Colin Fisher, minor, Business Administration. Patrick Gallagher, minor, Business Administration. Nicholas Grainke, minor, Mathematics. Javier Garcia, minor mathematics. Charles Hearn, minor mathematics. Colin Henderson, minor mathematics. Connor Hensley, minor mathematics. Claudio Huerta, minor mathematics. Johanna Jekyll. Aaron Klinker, minors, computer science and mathematics. Michael Kolpak. Sean Koopman. Samantha Keeter, I'm getting tongue-tied, minor in mathematics. Eric Latner, minor mathematics. Kevin Long, minor mathematics. Connor McCartney. Brandon McCabe, minors computer science and mathematics. Brian Merrill, minor in mathematics. Jake Milroy, minor mathematics. Luis Moncada Cardona, minor mathematics. Kyle Mosqueda, minor mathematics, naval hydrodynamics certificate. That's okay. Trey Nelson. Allison Nemechek, minors, business administration and mathematics. Thomas Niemeyer, minor, mathematics. Logan Newtbar, minor, mathematics. Ketan Patel, minor, computer science and mathematics. Vaibhav Kumar Paudel, minor, mathematics. Patrick Reinbold, minor mathematics, university honors, and honors in the major. Trey Ryan, minors, business administration and mathematics. McKenna Scheitlin, minor, mathematics. Tilly Sitz, minor, mathematics. Stephen Sawalish, minor, mathematics. Jamal Scott, minor, mathematics. J.Q. Shaw, minor, mathematics with distinction. Landon Smith, minor, mathematics. Victor Sun. Tyler Tatro, minors, business administration and mathematics. Megan Lee Tebby, minor, business administration and mathematics. John Teng, minor mathematics. Christian Torres, minor mathematics. Cody Tran, minor mathematics, naval hydrodynamics certificate. Matthew Thomas Vandergriff, minors, business administration. Carlos Varela Hernandez, minor, mathematics. Alvin Villoria, minor, mathematics. Jordan Vogie, minor, mathematics, wind energy certificate. Joseph Weeks. Nathan Wager, minor, mathematics, high distinction, university honors. Cameron Whitaker, minor, mathematics, sustainability program certificate, wind energy certificate. James Wills, minor, mathematics. Wilco Yuen, highest distinction. Matthew Zelke, minors, mathematics. Please join me in congratulating everyone for their hard work and accomplishments. The College of Engineering faculty and staff have truly enjoyed teaching, mentoring, and supporting this wonderful group of people as they achieve their academic goals. We are happy to continue our relationship with them as Iowa Engineering alumni. We wish you all the best.
Now, graduates, we have one last assignment for you. If you could please turn the tassels to the left side of your caps. You are now officially alumni of the UI College of Engineering. Finally, I want to say that as engineers, you are equipped to make essential contributions to the nation and to the world. You have a responsibility to bring your talents, understanding, and expertise to bear on the problems facing the world. I hope you'll be guided by the highest ethical standards with great respect for the environment and a genuine commitment to human values. We wish you the greatest of success throughout your careers and throughout your future. So thank you for joining us today. Please remain seated until all of the graduates have finished ascending the stairs. Graduates can get up, but the audience.